Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Speculation Alley. It's me, A-Bomb, and with me, as usual, is my co-host, brother from another mother, Crypto Dilly. What's going on, brother?
What is going on? What a wild day. I mean, we're filming this on Monday, so pretty exciting. What are we talking about today?
Who knows what the hell is going to happen on Wednesday, actually, like today. So, your today, not our today. Our today is Monday. So
What is this, an alternate universe, dude? Are we already in the
confuse
Codex?
them. We're in the Codex. We're traveling through different portals and lands. So, what happened today is Wenew Labs, the company that founded 10KTF, the NFT project that we are here speculating about, was acquired by Yuga Labs today. So, what the hell does all that mean, Dilly?
Well, I mean, here's the really interesting thing. So we actually had a plan of really talking about Koda juice, because the last tweet was about like, after a long week, I need a drink, right? And we were already speculating. I think you said it in multiple spaces that, that was in relation to the Koda juice. So, hey, kudos to you already. But with that being said,
not going to say I called it, but I called it. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was, obviously alluding to what happened and transpired with Yuga Labs acquiring 10KTF or Wenew, right, as a whole. And I think just to clear up some confusion on that, Wenew is the parent company of 10KTF, so every asset within that ecosystem, they basically have gained control. It's different than the CryptoPunks acquisition, because that wasn't truly an acquisition. It was actually acquiring the intellectual property rights of Meebits and CryptoPunks, and that is a very important distinction. But I just think that with what had happened, we were literally speculating, okay, this is about Koda juice and this is what it's going to be. And we were going to roll out that video. So I think it's significant that we kind of go over that timeline. But do you have anything to say before we get into that?
Just that, yeah, everyone that was doubting me that day in this space when I did say, what if Wagmi-San takes a drink of the Koda juice and then ends up on the other side? I told you, okay? No,
and they were all laughing at you, dude.
They were. It's okay.
Nice hoping, bro.
Yeah, it is. 99.9% of it's all just like a farce and, fugazi, if you will. So I appreciate you guys being willing to listen to all that. But let's get into it, brother. Give them the deets on what this means.
Obviously, I mean, we've kind of dissected this in other videos. I think it's just really important to really understand why we've connected the dots to this point and why we would even consider that, like, why it's going to be Koda juice, and the T is Koda, right? Koda juice. So March 18th is actually when the other side, the first trailer launched, right? And then the following Thursday is actually whenever we saw the banner that the Boss Toads wrote up in front of Wagmi-San shop that says "Sale coming soon," which we were speculating that was Ape coming soon, right? Everybody laughed us off the stage. They're like, no way, like there's no connection. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Well, then on April 14th, we actually saw the first Koda bottle within Wagmi-San shop, in the old shop, okay? There's old and there's new. And so we're going to say pre-burn down, if you will. That's where we see the first Koda bottle. And what is interesting about the positioning of this bottle is it's actually positioned behind the tea kettle, right? With the two teacups. Then on May 19th, we rebuild the shop, and this Koda bottle is actually behind up in the rafters. And so it's out of reach for most people, but it's very visible within the new shop. And we immediately went into the Bored Ape Yacht Club. We're like, dude, we're connected. Like the other side, we're getting land in the other side. And basically the moderators of Bored Ape Yacht Club are like, get the hell out of here. You guys don't know anything. And it comes full circle. The next thing that we have a connection to is actually, I think around NFT LA is actually where we saw a really big hint towards this, where they actually had the Bored Ape Yacht Club attached to New Tokyo. And we'll post that right here as well, right? And so Mabinetto like literally went up to Figge and is like, what's this? And he's like, I can't talk about that. So, there's strong ties, a lot of connections really, really early on. And then obviously the other side, other glasses, happens, right? So if you don't know, within the other side, they went on a scavenger hunt to look for Wagmi-San's glasses. And I'm actually going to, before that, in the timeline, we had NFT NYC, where we actually went to an event, we went through the portal, and we actually, spent a lot of time within New Tokyo, right? A fully immersive experience. In this New Tokyo, behind the bar is a Koda bottle, a real Koda bottle. Everybody's trying to get drinks out of it. Everyone wants a shot, right? But at that event is whenever we saw the trailer for the Kaiju Problem. And that is actually where Wagmi-San rolls his car multiple times and breaks his glasses and loses them. Okay. So at the time that the other side actually does their first trip, this is where we see like the immediate crossover, and it's the if you know, because at the other side first trip, they go on a scavenger hunt and they say, somebody lost their glasses at NFT NYC, and we need your help finding them. Well, it was easy enough for one of our OG, community members, 19, to actually go out and find them because he knew what he was looking for, the red rim glasses of Wagmi-San. What makes this so, interesting is that at the same time that this scavenger hunt was happening in the other side, we were on a mission in Battletown, which is 10KTF's, avatar load in gamification. And it was called Other Glasses. And during this mission, we were helping Wagmi-San find his glasses. At the exact same time that the scavenger hunt ended in first trip, we also ended our mission on Battletown and were rewarded with a badge that had the glasses on it. So it was immediately within the 10KTF community that there is a strong connection. It's an immediate link. There is no doubt in our minds as OGs, there is this Yuga, Wenew connection. So I think it's really important to really build up on that timeline and let people know that, so that way we can really dig deeper into this speculation and what we think the future will hold. So what do you have to say?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just there were so many hints there, right? That were alpha in plain sight, as our community likes to call it, with the ape coin coming soon. Even in the trailer with the floating lands in the background, obviously we saw with the first screen recording that Grimecraft and the team released over there that they had floating lands in the background. So these small little comparative pieces that seem to line up pretty well did obviously lead us down to this deep sleuthing, which now seems not to be so speculative anymore. It seems to actually hold a little bit of weight, so it's getting exciting. Let's get into the stuff about maybe a little bit more the IRL events and what that maybe holds for holders now. As you said, the acquisition for Meebits and CryptoPunks was more so to use that IP without having any issues, but this is an actual full takeover, if you will, by Yuga. And I don't think it's necessarily a takeover due to the fact that Figge is now, I think it's the chief content creator over there. Beeple was also given a role of advisor. Right. Yeah. So now we have 3 of the 4 core founders of Wenew Labs assisting and also working for Yuga Labs in some pretty top tier positions. Do you want to run through those positions really quick, Dilly?
Yeah, I mean, before I even get into that, I think really what's interesting is the Full Send podcast. Whenever the founders of BAYC get interviewed, they right. actually are we actually met up with Beeple. Beeple actually got us in connection with Guy Osiri because Guy Osiri reached out to Beeple and was like, you got to introduce me to these guys. And so they actually say their success is attributed to that connection that Beeple made with Guy Osiri. And Guy Osiri actually represents, the Bored Ape Yacht Club and World of Women. And he is one of the founders of Wenew, right? So we already knew that there was strong ties directly right there. But now we also have Michael Figge, who was announced today as the VP of Content Creation. And I think this is actually a really strategic move that's been in the works and actually been happening behind the scenes for months now because of the way that they've actually interwoven their storyline of what has actually transpired up to this point already. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's already been in effect and he's already been kind of the master of puppeteers, if you will. And then we have Beeple, who has moved into an advisory role. And I think that is also something that's already been happening behind the scenes. When you think about everything that's transpired up to this point, the way that 10KTF operates, you have some masters at actually operating multiple businesses and multiple avenues. Michael Figge, obviously owner and operator of Possible Productions, which was not acquired by Yuga Labs, but has a highly successful track record of production and visual effects for many artists and major events like the Super Bowl and the World Finals for League of Legends. Just some notable ones right there, right? So when you think about those accomplishments, and then you think about the season 1 trailer of 10KTF, and the amount of production studios that actually worked in tandem with 10KTF to produce all the content. Like, you have Michael Figge, who has his hands just in everything, just like like he is literally a wizard, bro. Like, just moving things along. So I think it's really fascinating. I think this lineup is actually gonna, create a lot of content. And what the future of this relationship looks like, in my opinion, is you're going to see a very strong storyline, not only within Bored Ape Yacht Club, but all the subsidiaries within Yuga assets now, the Yugaverse, and they're all going to be a slow build up into the other side, and the way that we're actually going to launch everything forward. And that's my opinion, and I don't think it'll change the way that things have already been going for 10KTF or Yuga. I just think that there's going to be a stronger storyline within everything that's actually happening already, because it's already been in place, in my opinion. I think that they've already built this up. And the reason I think so strongly on that point specifically is because the first inkling that we got of 10KTF actually working with Yuga is back in March, whenever they did that banner that says Ape coming soon, right? So I think there's some craziness going on, and those are my speculations right there.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty wild to see what happened overnight. I mean, as well, we don't normally get a tweet from Wagmi-San on a Monday, so what that holds for the rest of the week, I'm pretty excited to see. Thursday is usually the alpha day, and the only day we get a tweet.
Hey, maybe season 2 we're only going to get Mondays. I don't know. It's at 7 a.m.
So season 2 has started then. That's what we're assuming. Like, it's on now. I see, and that's what's interesting about this situation is what we were speculating as well, is like maybe a tandem event that took place where the Codex is talking about traveling to other worlds. Well, if Wagmi-San just drank this Koda juice, isn't he going to be traveling to another world soon? And it looks like online on 10ktf.com, they've updated the background. There's like this huge portal back there. It looks like it could suck up all of New Tokyo. So it would seem like there could be a little bit of a correlation between these two events. I mean, just obviously showing that all the connection they already have, it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to say so, I don't think.
Not at all. And I honestly think, obviously, the next trip of the other side is Codex, right? Traveling between lands. And it makes a lot of sense. You not only have the updated background on 10ktf.com, but you also have the updated background on battle.town. And you actually see Wenew and Wagmi-San overlooking New Tokyo with the portal kind of like in the background. So I really think that you're going to see the actual like convergence of these worlds, and I think we're really going to see gamification at another level as well. And the fact that it did come so early, obviously Figge said, it's going to be an early week. So we already had some ideas. There were some people that were speculating something was going to come on Monday, but we didn't know it was going to be this big and such a large announcement so early.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to think that they might have some more stuff to just drop on our necks later this week. I mean, Baple did. That's what I'm gonna address it now. But Baple, what's going on, mate? No, people said that shit is gonna get batshit crazy eventually, and this seems like, if not batshit crazy, but at the very least, we're definitely gearing up for some batshit crazy stuff. And I'm more interested in your perspective of this, though, Dilly. You were getting into the storytelling, and we see how well 10KTF has executed that element of the NFT world. So are we going to be maybe seeing more of a backstory for Curtis, the ape that was taken from the other side, or taken from the lodge to the other side, or are we still going to be following Wagmi-San closely? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that you're going to see storytelling from multiple characters' point of views, right? I think that Wagmi-san's going to progress in his storyline and the way that his world is changing around him. But also, I think the strategic move is that you have 10KTF, which is a strong community base that is really heavy in sleuthing and speculation and just really delivering from a community level, right? And within that, you also have, with 10KTF, you have this massive storytelling unit where it's continually progressing every single week. So I think that they're going to tie in that storyline, and we're going to see the crossover. But I also think that when the other side trailers started to come out, that's really where we started to see storytelling at a different level. And I do believe that a possible production, or not possible, Wenew actually had a hand in the storyline coming forward, because the way that it was delivered, I mean, a lot of people were speculating that a lot of the animation looked very similar to a lot of the 10KTF production that was going through too. And when you actually look at that crossover and then you think about the timeline of those trailers coming out, you have first video that comes out is literally Curtis like popping open the bottle, sipping it down, and then going and getting taken over the other side, right, on that trip. And he sees all the different parent projects of 10KTF come out of the ethereal river, if you will, right? And so that type of storytelling, and then to backtrack and tell the story from an earlier point of view of the Koda almost getting sucked through the portals and then dropping the Koda bottle and having to chase it through, and that's how it ends up in Curtis's hands. Like, I think that 10KTF, they showed that same production whenever Wagmi-san had that flashback to his shop burning down originally, and the cat, like, scratching the enemy, right? And so I think that this type of storytelling element, I think that you're seeing it actually delivered already. And so I think it'll continue forward. And I think Curtis, we may see a backstory there. We may see a backstory of Wagmi-san a little bit further. In fact, obviously the speculation last week that Guchita dropped, or Fake News Tokyo, is with the Ranga, right? The origin story of Dirty Robot and the Rangaverse, if you will. And maybe that ties in some way to the backstory of Wagmi-san and some enemies. But I personally think that the other side is actually post this kaiju battle, right? And the reason I say that is because in the most recent tweets, you actually see Wagmi-san, looking at the bottle under the overpass with the swords in the background, and he pops it open and drinks it. And that's whenever, we got that tweet today, and then it shows the Yuga acquisition. So I think that's moving it forward, not backward, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And that makes me wonder, you got my wheels turning then. So if Wagmi-san drank the juice, so we don't exactly know where Curtis ended up exactly, but what if they end up in a similar area, and that's sort of how that story unfolds? Like, Wagmi-san needs the help of Curtis and vice versa. So they help each other, maybe find their way back to the swamp or the lodge and go from there. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I mean, what's interesting about the way that they chopped up the video for the other side trailers is the Koda mad at Curtis, or is it actually taking him on the journey, right? And I think that's what a lot of people are trying to figure out. Ultimately, I think that Wagmi-san and Curtis are going to be caught in this alternate universe. And that's the idea behind the metaverse, is that it's an alternate reality where you're able to kind of explore and build anything that you want. And I think that's really captured in the way that they're telling the story. And that's why I think that the storytelling element building up to the release of the other side platform is actually really important to adopt the masses. And I think that's what they're doing. I mean, you have all these different trips planned for the other side to help actually educate people on how the game mechanics are going to work, or how the system is going to work within the other side. And so that way they already have a cult or a virtual society, as Herman Narella talks about, where they can actually bring people in, because there's already a society of people that are have adopted that technology and utilizing it, right? So I think that the storytelling element is really to help bring things full circle and have it as an active, engaging element to really make this come full circle for people.
Well, okay, I'm gonna ask you another curveball then. So you said that you think that the other side and 10KTF stuff was going on before the whole Kaiju event even took place, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what do you think about Puma or Gucci's awareness of that? Do you think that Gucci was given some sort of, behind the scenes information that may have led them to say, okay, this makes sense for us to actually do this big of a play? Again, Gucci now accepts Ape Coin. So they've, at the very least, had some conversations with Yuga Labs. So what are your thoughts on maybe their privilege to some of this information early on as well?
I mean, personally, I think that Altitude, which is also a subsidiary of Wenew, has a lot of discretion in the way they onboard these Web 2 companies into Web 3. And
Right.
the massive incentive for them to actually work with a company like Wenew is the names of the team. I mean, Michael Figge, Tim Smith, Beeple, and Guy Osiri, they're no names to just oh, I don't know who those people are. They're going to have a lot of street cred, and they're going to be able to actually onboard the companies and brands like Gucci and Puma with just them in general. So they don't need Yuga to be able to create those relationships and onboard people on. And so at their advisement, I mean, it makes sense for them to be, partnering with ApeCoin if they are partnering with ApeCoin. Right. And so
Right.
I think that's a no brainer. And I don't think they needed Yuga in that moment to actually create those relationships and onboard them.
Nice. All right. I get you. Very good. Well, bro, it's today was just a wild day. I mean, I know we have a couple things to go over, but you got anything else you want to? We want to go over the IRL event stuff. I know that's something that I was asking earlier. So give me your thoughts on that. Like, how are these? I mean, we've seen such immersive events IRL with 10KTF in the way that they have developed some of these experiences. So, I mean, Ape Fest, I heard, was a pretty awesome time as well. Of course, I didn't go to that. I don't own an ape, but what are your thoughts on how they could just blow the lid off some of this?
Before I get into that, I will touch on that too. But I do think that one thing I wanted to bring up is the end of the season 1 video for the trailer.
Yes.
It actually talks about, it says, Wagmi-San will have a cup of tea waiting for you in season 2. So the other side tweeted and they said, welcome to the other side to Wagmi-San. And then you have obviously Yuga Labs and their announcement as well. And one of the really interesting things is that they're really like tailoring that to Wagmi-San, obviously entering into the other side. But a really fascinating thing is the way that they ended season 1 is that Wagmi-San will have a cup of tea waiting for you on season 2. And I think that means that we're going as well, right? So as I have said in many videos, many spaces, Wagmi-San's going to give us land. It's coming. It's inevitable. And now let's segue into the IRL events. So IRL events, I think that that's something that's really where Wenew can really help Yuga Labs as a whole. In creating immersive experiences. And what I really think is interesting is obviously with Ape Fest, you have to have a Bored Ape or a Mutant Ape in order to gain access to these events. Now you have all these other legacy projects underneath that, don't necessarily have a place with these events. And I think one thing that's really fascinating is I think we're going to start to see Ape Fest turn into, and we've already seen it the past NFT NYC, where it's a multiple day event, but they're going to go in and be able to transform a space into a fully immersive world. And I think that we're going to have the ability to have different, holdings or holders of different collections have different days at the event. And obviously Bored Apes and Mutant Apes on the final day, they'll have the biggest headliners, the biggest artists, the different things like that. And what Wenew brings to the table in that is Tim Smith. Obviously, he has a Blood Company, which obviously has all those artists that he works with. And then you have obviously Possible Productions, Figgy and Beeple and Guy Osiri with all the connections to musicians. And they have the experience of even like running big festivals, right? And so the fact that they have that experience and they can bring that to the table, I think we're going to see some massive in real life events that are going to be fully immersive. I could totally see them like recreating the Bored Ape Yacht Club and having the swamp like recreated and us literally walk into a fully immersive like swamp of the other side, right? Like that is what I'm, thinking. I think that that's not too far from reality and what Possible Productions is capable of, dude. Like virtual, like visual effects with augmented reality. Like, dude, imagine like that kind of stuff happening at an event that we're all at. Like that's not too far out from reality either.
If you look at Blackpink, any of their stuff on Instagram, I'm pretty sure Possible is, responsible for some of those background effects, and they are fucking epic. Like they've made an entire wall look like this, like 3D, I was just like, dude, you guys know what you're doing.
I think one of the most popular and viral videos that went out was League of Legends Worlds, whenever the dragon was recreated and it circles around the whole arena, and all those people are like, whoa. Like that is what I think, a lot of people can relate to, and hopefully we can find that and put that up right here. So, we can share that with everybody. But also this acquisition as a whole, in my opinion, is massive. I think that it's a great play for Yuga. It's a great play for 10KTF. I think that it's going to help the whole ecosystem. Obviously, there's some concerns about centralized and having like the top collections being owned by one company. But when you think about, Yuga having a $4 billion valuation and what they're capable of and what they're building, I think obviously, especially with the other side being a platform, you need to attract all the big players. And 10KTF is that basically the outlet, that connection to all these other projects because the community that they've, created. They have the community of Cool Cats. They have World of Women. They have Wolf Game. They have all eyes on that project because they're all included through their IP, right? So I think this is a strong relationship, and I'm excited to see the storytelling component really come full circle and see what's to come. I think it's about to get batshit, if you will.
I agree with that. I concur. And one of the things I'm excited to see is sort of these events take place where maybe we're in Wagmi-San's arena and we're getting down playing or battling some people or whatnot, maybe even other players. I think that, like we were saying in previous videos, that would make a lot of sense for the other side to have Wenew working on this sort of like battle arena that people can go and have fun in and like sort of challenge each other and have live viewers. I mean, Twitch is insanely huge with just watching people play video games. I think Figge and the teams are aware of this, so them setting all of that up as well while the Yuga team finishes or does what they need to do to put that platform up, the other side that is in its entirety, is definitely a huge move that I could see them making down the road. What do we have here?
All right. So we have our new segment where we're going to dive into fake news Tokyo. And this week we got Yuga adds PFPs. Okay, so within this article, it actually talks about how, the founders, they're at Bored and Hungry, and they're talking and they're telling they're having a conversation about how Gucci Grails are going to become the most coveted PFP. So you have all the current, legacy collections and obviously the Bored Apes, but Gucci Grails, there's only 1384 of them. So in the metaverse, are you going to be wanting to rock in, an ape with a prison suit, or are you going to be wanting to rock the 2021 summer Gucci collection? You're going to want to watch, rock that. And that's why Yuga acquired 10KTF. With this article, it talks about that's the reason that they acquired them. But more importantly, there's also a more distinct collection that is even more coveted, and it's alpha in plain sight. And Gordon says that Wagmi-san's already told you about it, and it's the 893 Kagami. And the reason it's speculated of this is because it says Burn King for PFP, and those mirrors are Genesis items. And so it's a very strong possibility that those are the most coveted and most valuable PFP in existence. So this is, some new fake news. And I want to hear your thoughts right out of the gate. Let's get a good first impression out of you.
Okay. I hope you're ready. First of all, the Gucci Grails being the most coveted item of the entire Yugaverse.
No. The 893 Kagami, they will yield a PFP. So there's only 893 of them, but there's 1,384 of the Gucci Grail. And I think it's Gucci Grail apes, actually, is what it specifically says. Let me look, make sure. It says in the article that there is 10,000 bored apes, but only 1,384 bored ape wearing Gucci. So, the Gucci apes is what we're looking at. Running around, you want to rock a prison suit, like a terrible looking bored ape wearing shitty clothes, or do you want to be rocking Alessandro Michele?
I think, the Alessandro Michele sounds pretty good to me. That seems like a definite choice. Obviously, the next piece of this though, give me the next piece of it that you're asking about though, where it's whether or not the PFP is going to be burned for the Kagami. That's what you're saying, is that you're assuming that we're going to take the Kagami token, the NFT, and we're going to burn that for a PFP of some kind. That's what this fake news is about, huh?
No, what it's saying is that Yuga is looking to acquire 2 new PFP collections. One is obviously the Gucci bored apes, right? So they wanted that intellectual property. And then there's also the Burn King for PFP, right? And we know Genesis is king. So they're saying that the Genesis 893, which is the Kagamis, will yield when you burn it a PFP. And that is what Yuga is after. They're going to be launching these 2 new collections, and the most coveted, maybe it's a Beeple. Maybe there's some more behind this. I don't know, but 893 of them will be in existence, which is far scarcer in supply than any collection currently out there within the Yugaverse.
Okay, well, I'm thinking mechs then, because since mechs have been we saw Curtis hanging out in the clubhouse, and there's that mech, that big old robot behind him. Then I know this has been said, everybody. I'm not the only one to think this, so I'm just kind of wondering what item would be I guess, coveted, and more than look cool, the utility. What would be a scarce item or PFP that could do something different than anyone else? To me, it's almost what if it's a teleport device? Because we saw Wagmi-San working on these, Kagami mirrors in front of his portal, and also pondering stuff in front of it, looking at it. So I'm curious, maybe it could be a PFP, it could, but I don't know. I think that it would more likely be some sort of utility piece, but what do I know? What do I know at the end of the day?
I don't know, dude. I think it's fake news. Genesis is king.
That's why I don't even know. It's fake news. It's in a weird news box thing that popped up out of nowhere in our alley. What the hell is going on?
I don't know, but hey, go check out the article. It should be published today. Go get your copy. And read it for yourself, and drop in our comments what you actually think. Definitely, give us some information, what you think about the article, and whether you think it's fact or fiction. Who knows? I don't even know who's writing these things. But anyways, that is the end of the show. We appreciate everybody coming and watching Speculation Alley every single week. As you know, we try to connect the dots and give you guys the best information, so that way you can be up to date, but also have some speculation on what's possible and what is to come. None of it's correct, but sometimes this is Reality Alley. And we get it right. So hopefully we're going to be seeing a lot more of this stuff. I'm super excited about this acquisition, and definitely make sure that you subscribe, and leave a comment. Turn on the bell for the notifications so you get notified every single week whenever we do post our new videos. And definitely come check out our Twitter spaces that we just started. We're doing those every single week to really get into the topic and have a conversation with the community and see what their thoughts are. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a good rest of the week. And tomorrow, hopefully it's just as batshit as the rest of the week. So we'll see you guys next time. And
the one thing I want to drop on them really quick though is the and this is maybe for next week, just a little food for thought. The arcade machine. There's an arcade machine in the other side, and there's also one in Wagmi-San shop. And now that they're looking like they're going to be working pretty closely together, is that the same arcade machine, the Impossible arcade machine?
go check out that video. Go check it out. We got it. We got it all. Speculation Alley, baby. We'll see you next time. Peace.